In 2022, in response to the major anti-trans attacks happening in state legislatures, the Transgender Law Center pulled together transgender leaders and organizations from across the country.
National organizations, grassroots organizations, state organizations, to really say, what do we need as trans leaders to meet this moment to keep all trans people alive and thriving?
And that's how we got to Building Trans Power. Building Trans Power at its core is putting trans people in position to be leaders and investing in their leadership to do what we know because it's our lived experience.
The positions of power aren't just centered in DC. The positions of power are in state capitals across the country, where we are seeing these bills be tested, be experimented, to then be brought to the federal level. We cannot wait until something gets to the halls of Congress. We need to be supporting trans organizers and trans people who are doing this work on the ground.
The data shows that the concentration of the extreme disparities like trans murders and poverty and the grueling anti-trans legislation and, the lack of gun regulation are concentrated in the South. There is tons of people who are trying to make amazing impact with a little bit of rubbing two pennies together. And so it's really, really important for us to focus our resources, money, and actually create survival mechanism for us.
Whether that's access to jobs, access to housing, access to safe and affirming healthcare.
Because they shouldn't have to leave the South or the Midwest just because of the attacks that are happening. This is their home too. We need to also look at what are the wraparound services for folks in states where they haven't passed these bans and where access was already still stretched thin. And we can only do that by empowering our community to do the work.
Black, Indigenous, people of color, trans people, disabled people, people living with HIV, poor people, people living in rural areas, those impacted by criminalization or immigration systems. We see that when we defer to their leadership, we start to create laws and policies that are by the very communities most impacted by those issues.
The people who are closest to the pain should be closest to the power.
Building Trans Power is a plan of action. Here's some of what we're going to do. Action 1, boost the political power of trans communities in the South and Midwest by holding lawmakers accountable for attacking their trans constituents. Action 2, build cybersecurity and anti-violence response strategies so we can rely on each other to keep us safe instead of relying on police or the government. Action 3, convene and train trans leaders on innovative messaging research to counter harmful narratives.
They want us to go back into the closet. They want us to go back in a time where we were fearful and scared and didn't have the confidence to be ourselves and be proud of who we are, be proud of our transness.
Through Building Trans Power, we're saying we're here, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to support each other until all of us are free and can live a life that we deserve and that we want.
We know how to do this. We hold each other close. We build the networks that we need to be able to survive. And we eventually win.